What's up? Welcome to Tales to Morrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some more RPG horror stories. Some people probably skip the intro just to get to the stories and stuff, and that's completely fine. I don't want to make the intros way too long. But just in case somebody does skip the intro, could I ask for a favor? If you're watching this right now, just type tiefling in the comment section below. Don't explain it, don't talk about it, just type in the word tiefling and post it before watching the video. I wonder if you can confuse people in the comments of why everybody's saying the word tiefling. But either way, let's get to some RPG horror stories for today. I'm in a party with an absolute psychopath of a PC. He only plays psychotic PCs. Update. Ooh, we have an update. That's a story from the last video about the guy that's like way too into blood and gore for whatever reason. Let's see how that ends up. TLDR from my last post. A player makes a PC named Grung, who is very much psychotic and slaughters enemies in a 1 to 2 minute increment, describing in absolute immense detail. For my last post, I followed all of your advice and talked to the DM about Grung and his rather intense and disturbing behavior surrounding brutal enemy killings every single round. He said that he would talk to him. This is where I wish the story ends, but it doesn't. We continue on our journey into a bandit camp where, you guessed it, we got ambushed. 1.5 hours later, and a bunch of Grug's antics later, the entire camp was just drenched in blood. Grug being very edgy about, "Meat bags need to be drained of the red oil." God, okay, yeah. Listen, like I said before in the other story, it's fine to have a little bit of brutality flavor. It's kind of a whole other thing if the whole thing, the whole time you do is the same like one-trick pony kind of thing. I crush their skull and bash them against the rocks until they're nothing but goring blood and pile of puddle or something like that. Like if it's the same thing that you're doing without any sort of variation and you're doing it for the sake of more sadism rather than actual flavor, it is kind of a problem, especially if it's, I don't know, becoming a massive problem at the table. And we kind of did have suspicions with it becoming an issue since they took more time glorifying their death kills instead of working with the party. Hopefully it gets resolved, but it seems like it's not working or Grug doesn't care. We get the MacGuffin and we start walking home. Grug says, "I want to cleave at Nimbus, my character. I haven't seen a kobold's guts before." What? He rolls low, he misses. Nimbus, me, I run away from party, and I'm done with this group. Left the call, left the Discord. The sad thing is, I know some of the players IRL, so my phone has been blowing up for a day now. Wow, okay, well, you know, good on you, but first of all, let me just go ahead and take a little bit of a moment to get angry at something. Where is the DM to stop this? Why is the DM not saying, "Hey, Grug, no you can't. I want to allow you to attack party members, because that's PvP. You're gonna have negative consequences for attacking party members and stuff." Where's the DM in this sort of thing? And why is the DM not stopping us? Either two things are happening. One, DM simply doesn't care and talk to the Grug a little, and just kind of left it at that, let bygones be bygones without any care in the world. Two, they did talk to Grug, but Grug doesn't care, and at this point Grug is just an uncontrollable menace and just not gonna work out. At the end of the day though, you found that there's a problem. You notice that clearly now he's attacking party members unbeknownst just to see their guts. Either way, you got yourself out of a bad situation. You realize that it's just not worth it and you're done with it. You're finally done and fed up with it, and you're vocal about it and got yourself out, which is a great thing. There are not that many Grugs out there. That's one thing I can say. A lot of players just want to play, and they just like flavor for the sake of flavor. Yeah, sometimes people can get a little bit brutal, a little bit descriptive, but not everybody is going to be like Grug, trust me. Vindictive Dwarf poisons and murders all the Elven Ladies at the ball, including me, and then offs himself. It is 2003-2004. We're playing Core 3.5 over AIM. I was an elf, either a wizard or a paladin, don't remember which. Level 8, and we go to a cave infested with super dupe class level kobolds and rescue noble women prisoners. Plus this dwarf guard captain. He's gruff and doesn't really say much. All he does during the trip back is grumble about elves. The DM really puts a lot of effort into the dwarves whining. A week later, the capital's throwing a royal ball, mostly for the nobles, and of course, we're invited. The invitation told us to dress in our best finery and look our total best for the occasion. The DM roleplays frivolous stuff with us, like buying dresses for the ball, getting hairdos and makeup done, practicing walking in high heels and dining etiquette, girly stuff like that. Most of it just go to the ball in armor anyway. But not me. The ball starts. The noble women we rescued are there, and so is the dwarf guard captain. The party bard seduces the princess and takes her somewhere for a bang. Near the end of the ball, the queen orders a toast. Fort save for me. I'm assuming fortitude save. I roll pretty damn high but fail anyway. Then I eat a big ass mountain of con damage and I'm at 0 con. The DM describes my character vomiting blood, bile, and all the food she just ate. Then she falls over into her own vomit and her poofy dress flips up to show her undies. I mean, the last one is definitely kind of questionable, but is there a reason your character is going through that? Is there a reason why the DM is making you roll for that? Same goes for every other elf lady in the ball. Just the ladies, not the elf men. The elf ladies are all dead. My character is just a statistic. The DM says that the last thing the elf ladies see is the dwarf captain get up on the table and yell something like, "No dwarf will ever have his honor stoned by the elf," or "I cannot have me honor stained by a prissy elf harlot." Turns out he laced all the drinks for the elven women with a super magically hard to detect poison with crazy con damage. Then our corpses became zombies or crap like that. The DM said I should reroll, but I just left. Yeah, I would have left as well. What the fuck, DM? Not only does the DM add this character for the sake of adding the character, right? Do they just have this dwarf as part of this thing that apparently is now grouchy at elves because he was rescued by an elf? Most dwarves, even if they hold grudges, are still pretty honorable when it comes to characters. But I mean, I guess people can make characters however they want to. But either way, this is just so unnecessary, so uncalled for, so very much out of nowhere. Were you guys supposed to be able to detect like the dwarf was a BBG or something, or some sort of antagonist? Maybe you shouldn't have rescued him or something. What is the point of this? It felt like we just out of nowhere, no red flags or nothing. It just, whoops, suddenly the dwarf is just evil and wants to kill all the elf ladies because reasons. And I'm guessing you're playing as an elf lady, which is why you died as well as the other elf ladies there. What was the point of any of this? Just kill people for the sake of killing people? Or is it because he just wanted you to re-roll an elf? Or was it because the DM got so infatuated with having to roleplay this dwarf character out though, just like, screw it, I could just do whatever, I'll just kill him for the sake of it. If it was some sort of a narrative point of like the dwarf becoming a BBG or being like in cahoots with the bad guy or something, or the BBG, but your character survives and not have to chase him down, that'd be one thing. But just to kill off your character, kill off a bunch of random NPCs just because they're, or why do I keep saying orf? I keep saying orf. I'm trying to combine elf and orc for whatever reason. No dwarf will ever have their honor stolen by an elf harlot. They rescued you, numbnuts. Either the DM had some sort of obscure plan, or with some weird incel dwarf being an incel dwarf against elven women. I mean, if you're just gonna be killed for the sake of just being killed, just because you happen to be an elf and a woman, and a dwarf really disliked you, just poison you with some invisible MacGuffin nonsense that literally nobody detected. I am pretty sure somebody would have detected a powerful enough poison to be able to kill somebody and make them vomit their guts out or blood and stuff. I mean, gotta be pretty strong, right? Either way, weird champ story for the sake of weird champ. Let's get to the next story for today. The Tale of Weeaboo Jones. So this is a short story about a campaign that started 2 years ago by my friend group before I joined recently. However, one player decided to become an extreme problem along with their partner. Meet the cast. DM, Yote. Me, Ascent. Players, Werewolf Karen, the partner, V, and lastly, problem player, Weeaboo Jones. I'll start the story off by saying the following. I'm in my friend group through meeting Weeaboo Jones. I quickly learned how much of a chaotic individual he was in various ways. While being heavily mentally disabled, he was also extremely toxic. He had an obsession with guns, legit obsession despite not being able to possess one, was extremely racist by constantly saying the N-word with a hard R, made fun of many minority races, East Asian and Asia in general, made fun of the Holocaust on multiple occasions, and much more. And you still played a game with this guy? Did you find out about this like during the campaign? I mean, you said pretty quickly. What, you didn't know about this beforehand? I mean, it could have been their identity revealed mid-game and stuff, but like, what? The reason why this problem player is called Weeaboo Jones was the fact that they attempted to put aspects of Japanese warriors into their character for other games and stories. They had their character for this campaign based off samurai, specifically Yojimbo from Final Fantasy. The cherry on top is that he would try to speak with a Japanese accent for all of those characters and would add some words here and there in Japanese. Okay, so we're dealing with a racist, anti-Semitic weeaboo. An early opportunity whenever you notice this sort of thing, it might have been a good time to bow out, but you know what? Maybe I'm prejudging the story ahead of time. Maybe this sort of characteristics became more apparent the more campaign, wound down or something. Who knows? But either way, let's continue. Aside from that brief description of Weeaboo Jones, I'll now go into the experience of the past two campaigns since I joined, before the two problem players were kicked out. The story of my character started in an inn, and immediately, like it had been out of game, Weeaboo Jones let his main character syndrome take control and constantly interrupted what others were saying by monologuing with himself, and caused the story to move extremely slow. Everyone was, of course, very annoyed, but managed to push through it with some polite nudges for Weeaboo Jones to calm the heck down. Really easy way to do that is ask the DM or have the DM control the game, because if the DM is not in control, then nobody is in control, and it goes very chaotic. So I hope the DM in this situation is keeping a very close eye on Weeaboo Jones and keep him in check until they needed to be kicked out. And the only reason I'm being so harsh is because many times with these problem players, the DMs are just completely absent-minded. They're AFK doing something, they're asleep, they're knocked out, they're just asleep at the wheel and have no idea what's going on. They have no control of the situation. And problem players typically take that as opportunity to do whatever the heck they want to do. The one person that can't control the aura or the pace or how the RPG group controls and how it goes is by having the DM be in control and removing the problems whenever they arise and dealing with the problems whenever the problems become very apparent. Minor issues here and there is not going to break your group. Problem players that consistently do the problem behavior will, and I hope the DM did the responsible thing here and remove the problem. Obviously not every DM is at fault. It's up to the players as well to try to voice their complaints as loud as they can to the DM so they all can come to the best solution for the group, but either way, let's keep going. The session was a bit chaotic due to that, though he wasn't yelling at anything, just doing things to delay while everyone including him was talking over each other. With an unnecessary diversion occurred in the group by Werewolf Karen, who went in a brief rage mode, and the main goal being to kill the corrupt king, being temporarily thrown out the window. My character would leave after a weak attempt at hiring him to search for the werewolf and go back to the Thieves Guild. The next session would have the group searching for my character. I assumed this would only take 20 to 30 minutes. Instead, the search took the whole session. That was 2+ hours for the day. People were getting irritated with all the interruptions and lack of communication between other players, especially Yod, who tried to keep things in line. The Weeaboo Jones made it significantly worse by metagaming with his character for multiple circumstances while the group was searching for me. Now, Weeaboo Jones already had issues with Yod, while Werewolf Karen hated him due to being called out for her BS in the friend group before. That time, most people were against Yod, including myself, before I stopped and looked a good look at things. This time would be different. Okay, the way you're describing that, it seems like Yelp might be also a problem DM or just a problem player at the table as well, so... well, this is a mixed bag of characters, for real. Upon finding my character, as I decided to just give up on being realistic in terms of how he would act with the group, already irritated as it was, Weeaboo Jones would give my character more gold and a better dagger, but still not get properly hired as a mercenary. After being called out yet again, Weeaboo Jones left the call this time, entering a childish temper tantrum due to not getting his way, only to bring himself to our main server where people who weren't in session were, and thus the developing drama had moved. Werewolf Karen was pissed, blaming the DM, Yod, for everything and being the cause of his metagaming. Yod had been through this before, but he had enough of the finger pointing in his direction, so he once again called Werewolf Karen out on her BS. She didn't exactly like that and decided to state in the D&D server that they'd be leaving, along with Weeaboo Jones saying the same thing, only not to leave. So I called them out on their BS and hypocrisy as well inside the game server, and Weeaboo Jones took it a step further with Werewolf Karen's bribing. He decided to block both Yod and I, which was pretty much a punch to both our faces, as Yod had known him for 8+ years, and I'd known him for nearly a year. There's a lot of mention of this calling out on BS, but what did you specifically say? What was the calling out? What'd you address? Like, what is this BS that you're calling him out on? There's a lot of vagueness to this story. Maybe you just, I don't know, maybe it's the first time posting a story about this sort of thing, but if you're gonna say you're gonna like call out on their BS, what specific BS? Was it the racism? Was it the metagaming? Was it about different behavior? Was it about the anti-Semitic comments that they even came up in the first place? I'm still not really sure at what point, like, the anti-Semitic and racist comments even, like, what point did you figure out that Weeaboo Jones is not a good person to play with or just even associate with? You say you know this person for years, so did you know ahead of time that they were kind of a crap person to be around and to play with? Or is this just now coming up? Is this like the break between everything? And what is this BS that you're mentioning? What is the BS that's being called out on? What BS? It feels like there's a lot of BSs you could be called out on, because you could be any sort of guesses. Who knows what Werewolf Karen is doing in the background if you're not telling us exactly which BS is being called out on? What is specifically being said, you know? I get the stories trying to draw them as being bad people, but it shouldn't be that difficult just to say, like, they metagaming or arguing with the DM constantly or something. Might have been petty for me to do, but since he went to our main server already, I decided to call both of them out by telling them that they were turning into the exact people they used to warn me about, and one's Werewolf Karen had recently been plotting revenge against, despite none of the old people even caring about her. Again, I read that whole paragraph and I'm still confused. The context is just non-existent. What am I supposed to infer from that? Now, I don't want to bash on the OP for like what they're writing and stuff. Obviously, they're trying to put in a story and everything, but there's a lack of context, genuinely a lot of lack of context. And I mean, I read this whole paragraph and reread a couple of times to try to understand it and try to read back some of the earlier passages. There's no connection. There's literally no connection. It just mentioned about how Werewolf Karen and Weeaboo Jones warned OP about avoiding certain bad people, and now Werewolf Karen is turning to the people that they warned OP not to like associate with, basically. Drama people? I'm guessing people that start drama, people that start like heckling or start causing problems in groups and stuff, Discord groups. Is that what he means? Because I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. After all was said and done, with Werewolf Karen continuing to blame Yote and most of the group leaving her and Weeaboo Jones due to how childish they were acting, she thought it would be wise to make another attention-seeking attempt, but with the worst tactic. She lied about trying to commit through intoxication and the intake of medication, in which most of us, except for Yote, due to not knowing until long after, knew it was BS because she would not be communicating at all if that was truly the case. And if she was, she'd need to be in the hospital immediately. It didn't help that Yote was a literal nurse working in a hospital. Well, I'm starting a new show called Welcome to RPG Theory, where I try to solve stories that don't seem to make coherent, logical sense and try to untangle this web that the OP weaves. Okay, the one thing I will say though, right? It's not cool that they're lying about doing this stuff or even talk about, you know, self-harm and everything. But the one thing I would say is, if you knew there would be somebody that would do that, you probably would have seen signs early on, and you probably want to try to act on it by disassociating from these sort of people. And these are the kind of people that start drama over an RPG game and stuff with whatever system that you're using. You know, you had some sort of interaction before in the past where people disliked the DM Yote for whatever they did, whatever they did. I don't know. This whole group just seems dysfunctional. The whole group. Jones, Karen, V is not even being mentioned in the slightest, so we don't know what V has even done. Probably should have seen the signs and red flags pretty early on and probably want to dip out. Why'd you stick around with these people? Why'd you stick around with these people for so damn long? I just don't understand it. Either you were really good friends and there was a huge fallout, or the OP might be a glutton for punishment. I don't know. I have no idea. I genuinely have no clue. There's still a little bit left over, so let's see if maybe that answers any of the questions. Yo decided enough was enough, gathered the admins of the main server to show all screenshot proof regarding her toxic behavior from past to present. And Werewolf Karen, who was co-owner of the main server, would quickly make another horrible decision by removing the roles of a neutral individual named V from the D&D group who said they'd try to mediate. They threw their hands up and were actually pretty ecstatic not to be involved in the server anymore. I've since removed and blocked them in return on everything after finding out the types of people they are. A few people have continued to be their friends despite all their gargantuan red flags. Hopefully that's the end of the story. But with a virtual event coming up in June, I'm not sure that'd be the case. Even if something's happening in June, I hope, OP, for your better interest, that you stop associating with these sort of people. Where'd you find these people in the first place? How'd you stick around with these people for, what, a year you known these people? how'd you stick around with them without noticing any obvious signs? I'm pretty sure signs would have been there by now, pretty apparent. Though, you know, there are some people out there that do hide their nature until it really comes out in like some sort of an aggressive impulse. So we never really know. But you know what? I've got to feel cockblocked with this story. I feel like a lot of context is just not there and missing and stuff. I think it's the first story I heard about like a proper weeaboo on RPG horror stories that I got to cover myself. I don't think, actually no, there was one weeaboo that was the good guy. We did have the one weeaboo, there was the edgelord and weeaboo story, and like there was the girl in between, but where the weeaboo was actually the good guy in the story. That was something. We need to have more stories that show weeaboos in a better light. Because like, I consider myself kind of a weeb. I like anime waifus like anybody else, and I think that kawaii is fuck. But like, I'm not gonna be degenerate about it. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.